Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. My name is Repeat Ron, and today we're going to be going over some builds for the Drac 25 Plasma Carbine. These are going to be going over non-overclock builds. I haven't gotten to try all the overclocks. I currently only have 2 of them, so I still need to get quite a few more to test out. But so far I've been liking the Plasma Carbine pretty well. It feels at home with Scout, and I enjoy using it, especially with the new bouncy overclock, but we're not going to be talking about that here. So I'm going to go over each of the gear modifications here, talk about them briefly. I've tried out all of these, and I'll tell you my opinion on them, and then I'm going to show you some builds. The first build that I'm going to be doing is kind of my general purpose build that I take, or that I have taken probably the most and used the most and feel the most comfortable with the weapon, but then I will do 2 or 3 other builds for weapons that I have tried that have varying success. Some of them are really good, some of them I take for like specific mission types, and others seem like a decent alternative to my general purpose build. And tell me what your builds are down in the comments below. I'd really be interested to hear what you guys have been making with the new Plasma Carbine. So first up we have high volume plasma feed. This is increased rate of fire, so we go from 13 to 16 rounds a second. That is a significant amount of rounds per second, I would say. That is, I think, faster, or maybe just as fast as the fastest you can get the assault rifle to get to. About 14. So yeah, you can actually get it higher than the assault rifle. That's cool. So I mean, if you want to do more damage per second, this one seems pretty good. I have done this for damage builds in particular, and I like this one pretty well. Our next one is improved thermals. This makes it so we have 25% reduction from heat per shot, so our gun overheats slower. This one I really like. I think it works pretty well because I like sustained fire. Then our next one is the stronger particle accelerator. This launches the projectiles at 50% more speed. Now I'm okay with this one, but the plasma balls from this really don't travel all that slow, so it's not too hard to lead your shot. You don't have to lead your shot all that much for most long-range targets, unless they're like at extreme ranges, and then you will see a big difference between this. But if enemies are that kind of medium range that Scout usually likes to fight at, I haven't really had a problem hitting anything with it, so this one doesn't feel as necessary. Maybe it will with some of the other overclocks though, because I don't know what all of them do. But for just the base Plasma Carbine, I don't really use it all that much, but I think it's okay. Most of the time I go with the improved thermals. In our tier 2, we have larger battery. This is just more ammo. You get 250 more shots. Really good. Really like it. That takes your total from 800 to 1,050. So every resupply you'd get 520 rather than 400, which that's pretty nice. Then we have increased particle density, which makes our damage go up from 9 to 11. This one seemed okay too if you wanted to go for a damage per second build. Outside of that, in my normal build, I usually don't run it though. 11 is not really a break point. You usually want 15 or anything that divides into 90. So like 15 does, 30 does, anything like that, 45, 90 itself or higher. 11 doesn't hit the break points of swarmers. So I find that the extra ammo is a bit more useful to me, but extra damage is fine too. In tier 3, we have the custom cooling alignment. This just makes it so that we have less spread per shot. Now the base Plasma Carbine doesn't have that much spread per shot, I would say. It feels pretty similar to the GK2 assault rifle in terms of spread per shot. This does make it more accurate, so if you want to have really quite accurate shots, then this is a pretty good option. Our second one is Gen 2 cooling system. This makes it so we cool down 50% faster. That's also pretty useful. That way we're not overheating our gun as quick. And then we also have hot feet, which makes it so once we do overheat our gun, we get a faster movement speed. Now this isn't bad, especially if you're going with a damage per second build, and it'll probably show up in that when I showcase that one. But usually I go with the Gen 2 cooling system just so that even though I have low generated heat from tier 1, this just makes it so I can spray for a long time, wait a few seconds, and then spray again. And I rarely overheat this gun unless I'm running like the manual heat dump, which I really don't with this build. In tier 4, we have overcharged PCF. This makes it so we have a 20% chance of electrocuting on hit. That's pretty good. It's always nice to have electricity. Electricity just slows enemies down and makes it so they take bonus damage. Always great. We have Plasma Splash, now do AoE damage. Not huge amounts of AoE damage, but some AoE damage, so you do 5 splash damage. Now this is the exact same, damage as what it was before, so if you want to go with this and you're just using this against grunts and using this against swarmers, it works just fine, because it's going to be 2-shotting enemies like that. maybe 3-shotting with splash hits hitting your stuff, but you're going to be shooting it so quick that you won't really notice that. Then we have Destructive Resonance Amp, sorry. This gives you 200% more armor breaking, which this is what I usually run for my general purpose build. It's just kind of useful for hitting any sort of armored enemy and dealing more direct damage, but these other two are quite good options too. And then in tier 5, we have the Manual Heat Dump. This lets you push the reload button and overheat your carbine whenever you'd like, and that way it cools quicker. With this build, since it's already cooling down quick, we don't really want this, but on a different build, then this one can be really good. Our second is Thermal Feedback Loop. This just makes it so once we hit the 50% mark of heat, we actually start shooting faster. I'm not sure exactly how much faster we do shoot. I don't think it's quite double, but it does seem to increase the damage per second, and this is what I usually like going with. And it makes it a little bit easier to tell when your gun is really getting hot and when you should kind of back off, let it cool down, and then come back up and shoot it some more. So that's kind of what I use it for, and the extra damage per second is pretty nice. And this is my general purpose build that I run most of the time with the Plasma Carbine, and I've had pretty good success with it. If you wanted a damage per second build, like I sort of talked about earlier, I would recommend going for the Plasma Feed. You can go with either of these in tier 2. Both of them are pretty good options, but I usually go with the increased particle density just so that I have more damage and more damage per second. Go with Hot Feet because I'm probably going to overheat this, and while it is overheating, I do get a move quicker. And then Overcharged PCF. Armor breaking works well here too. You can also go with Plasma Splash if you would like. Any of these are fine options. I like the electric bullets, that way I can potentially do even more damage to enemies. And then I usually go with the Manual Heat Dump, that way I can just manually heat dump and get my gun back up so I can shoot it once again. Upside to this, you get a lot of damage per second. It's fairly good against crowds, it's good against single targets. You do run through ammo fairly quick with it though, so if you're going to run this, I would recommend pairing it with extra ammo secondary, like going full ammo submachine guns works pretty well with this, or even full ammo shotgun works pretty well with this. And then if you wanted an AoE build for this, I'd recommend going thermal, improved thermals, increased ammo. I actually do like the extra accuracy with this one in tier 3, that way I can be a little bit more accurate and kind of get the shots where I want to. Going with Plasma Splash, this is going to be our AoE, and then either of the tier 5s is perfectly fine. Usually I go with the feedback loop for this, but you could go with the Manual Heat Dump too. I don't see any issue with that. If you are going to go with Manual Heat Dump, then you might want to switch over Improved Thermals. You could keep it if you'd like, but you might want to go with maybe the Plasma Accelerator to actually be, right on target where you want to be at range, or even the faster rate of fire. I've found that all these work pretty well, and those would probably be the main builds that I'd recommend for the Plasma Carbine. I don't know if this is going to be changed anymore because they have still been updating these weapons and changing them. Luckily, the Plasma Carbine didn't get changed that much in the last patch. I think it was only bug fixes, so everything else pretty much the same. And I'm really liking the Plasma Carbine. I'm not sure if I like the base version of it more than the base M1000 or the base G2. I think I like the base G2 probably the best out of them. With no overclocks, but the Plasma Carbine is pretty good too. With overclocks, so far I've been liking the ones that I've tried, but I've only tried the 2, so I still got to get the other ones and see how they work. So hopefully this helped you out a little bit. Special thanks to the supporters of this channel. These are my members over here on YouTube, my patrons over on Patreon, and if you would like to be a part of that and get early access to videos like this, you can. There are links down in the description. Thanks everybody for watching this. I really do appreciate it, and I will see you guys next time. Till then, stay cool. Bye-bye!